Good morning and welcome to another exciting breakfast with Unity. So today we're going to be doing a crossfade, and this is mostly going to be using found code because I found a pretty good crossfade on the Unify wiki when I was playing around, and it seems to work on basic, but I haven't done a full test. So please, if you test this code and you find out that it does not work in basic, let me know and we'll figure out something. I'm sure that we can make it work. First of all, the files are here. I have a link to here in the description. People from the future, if you download the Breakfast with Unity files, these will probably already be there. But if you're here right now, they're not there. So, and the actual download links are... Oh, this is not where it is. Okay, well, I should have probably had a different link. We want screen wipes here, and we're going to go to screenwipes.zip and download it. And I've already actually done that, but it's a really small file, so I guess I did it again. And what we're going to do is we're going to open this up, and this will give us a screen wipes folder, and it's a Unity package. So we just double-click this, and this will bring it into Unity. So whenever you're importing a Unity package, always check how it's set up so that you can reorganize the files if needed, which we're going to. This one's set up kind of just in a base folder style, so it's like its own project basically. I don't see anything here that's going to conflict with anything. I do also want you to notice that one thing is going into standard assets, and really this should this is a much older set of scripts, and actually it even states that the screen wipe doesn't. The crossfade doesn't actually work on Unity 4, which when I was testing it worked just fine. And that's part of the reason I want you guys to confirm that it does work on basic. I think that it will. I think the only reason that it didn't work, I don't know who added this, was because the standard assets folder name changed. It now has a space in it. But anyway, the reason this is being put into standard assets, though, is standard assets is actually not the one with without the space, but the one with the space is a special folder that compiles first. And all of these files are, as you notice, are in JavaScript. And in order for C# to talk to them, they need to compile first. At least for the screen wipe here. All these ones are just examples of how to use it. But if you want to use this from C#, it needs to be in standard assets, or it needs to be in plugins. Standard assets is actually the more appropriate place, even though I think it's really confusing to put stuff that you've created in the standard assets folder, but this kind of become the standard. If that does squick you, you can try the plugins folder and see if that makes you feel any better. Also, I don't know if this works in a subfolder or not. I know the plugins doesn't. I know that editor does, and I'm not sure if standard assets does. So we're going to leave it alone for right now once we import it, but I just wanted to get that out of the way. So let's import this. Most of these files are actually just for showing the examples. The real important one is that crossfade file. So, as I said, this folder doesn't really work anymore. So we're going to put this into our standard assets folder with the space, and I'm going to remove this folder, delete it. And so now you'll see that we just have screen wipe in here, and then we have the stuff that we'd already imported from standard assets. We have this script folder. So I'm going to go ahead and call this. I'm gonna create a new folder, a top level folder if I can. That's not going to be possible. And we're going to call this screen wipe examples. And I'm going to put it into our folder that I already created called CrossFade. And we're going to put this scripts folder into screen wipes examples. We're going to put this material and messages folder in screen wipe examples. And so now I'm just going to double check to see if this looks good on our files here. So we have crossfade, that's fine. We have, so everything's in the crossfade except for the standard assets thing. And, ooh, what are these? Oh yeah, and we have the scenes need to be in there too. So let's go ahead and put these into, this is what I checked, into screen wipe examples. So now all this should be organized so that we're not sprawling out on our project too much. So let's look at one of these examples real quick. So if we go to crossfade, this is the one we're going to be using. There's actually a few different fades that you can use, but this is the one we're going to be using today. I encourage you to experiment. Don't say we don't care what's in here. You hit play, and when you hit space, it crossfades. Now, currently, it does have an error, and we're going to actually fix this on this episode. It has this little read pixels error, but I actually stumbled upon that and figured out how to fix it. It's not a big deal. But you can see that it crossfades. Now, this planet is rotating here, and you can see that when you fade into it, it rotates, but when you fade out of it, it actually stops rotating. This is a relatively computationally cheap crossfade. It just takes a screenshot, effectively, and then after that, it fades between them. There's no way in Unity Basic to do a real-time crossfade between two cameras. If you have Unity Pro, you can do it just fine. And there's actually an example. They have a Crossfade Pro that is built into this that has that feature. So when you hit on here, you'll see that both sets are animating at any time that you go between them. But again, that's a Unity Pro only. This crossfade looks really great, and honestly, most games use crossfades like this because rendering everything twice is extremely expensive. And so in order to avoid processing hitches, almost every game that uses a crossfade does a picture crossfade. Check it when you see it in a game. Best examples are probably in sports games, just because they have some of the best camera transition work in the games industry. I have to give credit where credit's due. I'm not a sports game fan, but it's the truth. They have really good technology on their camera stuff. So what are we doing? So let's actually put this into... So this example here is we have this manager. We put the screen wipe on the manager. And then we have this crossfade example, which uses it. So this manager is important. And this crossfade example is how we actually use this. So I'm going to actually create our own crossfade example because I want to show you this works in C#. And the examples here are all in JavaScript. And the language is a little bit different. So I'm going to say crossfade example CS is what I'm going to call it. And what I'm going to initially do is I'm going to open up our crossfade example here. By the way, this was based on a question from one of our viewers, Christopher, and his question specifically was about transitioning between two scenes. We're going to cover that, but not today. That's going to be tomorrow. And just because I need to figure out the logistics of using this on this, I don't think it's going to be hard to set up. The main thing is just we need to sprinkle in some do not destroy calls into things. Don't destroy, rather, calls. And I think it'll work pretty well once we do that. So this is the JavaScript, and I'm just going to copy all of this, and we're going to convert this into C#. We're going to do this on the show. Super easy. It's easy when you know how, but it's actually not a difficult task. We're going to just select all that and paste it. And so here's how we convert from JavaScript. So these are variable declarations in JavaScript. They declare the type afterwards. So I'm just going to copy this and replace that variable there, and then we're going to delete the stuff after there. So these are now in C# format. This one is almost valid, but we want this to be a float, so we do this. This is technically valid now. I like to be explicit, so we're going to do float. And then the other thing we have to do is, these things were not set as public, but in the difference between JavaScript and C# is, in JavaScript, everything's public by default unless you say it's private. In C# is exactly the opposite. Everything is private unless you say public. So we want to make sure that these are public variables. Public. And then finally, we've got these var declarations. These are valid. These will work, but I prefer to be explicit, so we're going to change these to actually say bool. Function is not a real word in C#, so we're going to call it void. It returns a void. That's what it is. Now, here's where things get just a tiny bit trickier. This is just very, very tiny. The tiny trickinesses are this do fade uses a yield statement, which screams that this is a coroutine. But you can see that they didn't say start coroutine here, and this is because on the JavaScript side, you actually don't have to call start coroutine. They use a different terminology for doing coroutines there. So we need to make this a start coroutine, do fade. And we need to make sure this is an I enumerator. And then we need to change this, instead of yield, we want it to be yield return screen wipe. And so if we save this, it auto-compile. No, we got a problem. Oh, yes. Okay, so if in progress return. So this, I'm going to actually just change this because this, as a programming practice, I always put the brackets in for if statements because I almost always add more lines later. So this is an early return though. And this doesn't work because IEnumerator expects something to be returned as a value. So what we actually want is, if you want to break out of a coroutine early, it's yield break. What this is doing is this is just making sure that if you ask it to crossfade while it's crossfading, it just ignores you. That's the whole point of this. So it's so that you don't interrupt things that are happening and screw up the crossfade system. So we're going to save that. Let's see what that does. Looking good. It compiled. And let's see if it works. So we're going to go to our manager, and I'm going to just put crossfade example CS on our manager here. This is our crossfade scene. I'm actually going to save this scene as crossfade CS, and we're going to call it in. We're going to put it into crossfade save. So we're going to set this up the same way. I'm just going to find camera 1 here. We're going to put it here. Camera 2, put it here. And we're going to remove this, and we're going to see if this still works exactly the way we expected. So press space to toggle. Uh-oh, didn't work. What did I do wrong? Maybe I didn't test this properly when I did this yesterday. Today. This morning. Yield return, screen wipe, use, crossfade. I didn't check this right, did I? Oh wait, play. I wasn't playing. No, I was playing. Alright, let me just quickly go through this. Debug.log. Hey. Save. Play. Hey, alright, cool. Well, we got that far. So, if in progress, do fade. In progress defaults to false. Set in progress to true. Swap does not equal swap. Yield return, screen write, use, crossfade. In progress, false. Okay, so I think we need to change the way this works slightly. Let's try doing... Well, okay, so what does... So, I'm sorry that I got gummed up here. It was going really good, and I had done some testing before, but evidently it wasn't thorough enough. Sometimes happens. I'm going to go to our screen wipe here and see if we can deduce what's going on in wonderful JavaScript land. So, crossfade... So this itself is... Alright, so this probably drops off after the first time we do this. So we probably have to do some sort of while, but... Alright, to the internets real quick. Calling JS coroutine from CS Unity. So they still have to use start coroutine. So maybe that's not a coroutine. Maybe I was looking at this wrong. Let's just do fade. I'm just curious what's going to happen here. Let's break some things. Let's make this a void, and let's make this just... Let's just call yield. I know this isn't going to work, but I just want to see what happens. Right, unexpected symbol. Yeah, that's what I thought. So yield return. Let's see if this does anything. Save. Play. No. Do fade. Can't return things. Okay, that's what I thought. So IEnumerator. Hey, listen. All right. So I feel like we need to have a while loop in here somewhere, but I'm not sure how to tell when the crossfade is actually done. All right, I'm just gonna break things. While true, whatever. Save, play. Yep, no luck. Let me just double check to make sure that no one's yelling at me in the comments. And then after we check that, we will play around. Let's see. I'm glad you guys made it. Glad you guys are watching. Sorry that it's this a little bit boring right at the moment. Let's see here. Let's see. Maybe in this crossfade, someone has an example of how to use this in C#. So I'm going to go to screen wipes. No, it's all JavaScript as I thought. It is set up to be used by C#. So it can be used easily by C# and Boo scripts. Alright, I'm going to quickly try something here. I'm going to do something weird because I'm curious what this actually does. Debug.log. We're going to learn how the nitty-gritty of this stuff works a little bit. We're going to debug.log the output of that, and I'm going to do it twice because I want to see if it changes between the two. So we hit save and hit play. Doesn't even print anything. Oh, because we're not a coroutine. Start coroutine. Do fade. Save. Play. This still might not work. The fact that it didn't do anything before was surprising. There we go. Alright, so it returns an object, screen wipe object. Alright, so we can't just like check for 0 or anything. Crossfade, screen wipe, let's see, crossfade, yield alpha timer. Alright, we're going to play with this more on the next episode. I was already planning on doing more than one anyway. I was expecting to do a little bit more on this one. So let me go back. Let's fix the one other problem that we had, right? So if we go back to our manager and we go and put our old crossfade example, which is the C#, the JavaScript one, and we just set this up with the cameras again, boop and boop, and we get rid of our CS example. We're just gonna turn that one off right now and hit play. When we hit space, we get this read pixels problem. And if you search for it, if we just grab this text here, read pixels was called to read pixels, and it gives me this error. And there's actually a response that explains how to fix it. So the problem is the timing of read pixels is happening at the wrong time, and there's a way to actually do this in a coroutine. You can do yield return new, wait frame to frame. Now this is a C# example, but we can do the same thing in the JavaScript. And so just before the read pixels call in crossfade, we're going to add, so I'm going to copy and paste this in. So this is how it would be in C#, but this isn't how you do it in JavaScript. In JavaScript it's simpler. You just say yield, wait frame to frame. So if we save this now and hit play, we shouldn't get that little error. Obviously, the error wasn't really doing that much, but anytime I see errors like that, I want to get them fixed. So now it works and doesn't have our error. So let's start with that, and we'll play more with this tomorrow. And thank you guys for watching. So, where's my thing? Oh, I don't need the face. Thank you guys for watching. This morning, I forgot. If you have any questions, please email me, pushypixels@pushypixels.com. You can also tweet me at Drakfire, that's DRAKFYRE. Please donate to the show on patreon.com/cookingwithunity. We really appreciate your support. And I'll catch you tomorrow with more Breakfast with Unity at 9 a.m. PDT. See you guys there.